Welcome to this demonstration of the Mondoo Fix Now, Fix Forever workflow. My name is André and I'm a principal sales engineer at Mondoo. In today's environments, where vulnerabilities and misconfigurations are rising in constant threat and where remediation windows are shrinking, the traditional patching processes are not only too slow, but also too manual and too disconnected. With the Mondoo platform and our Fix Now, Fix Forever solution, we have built an automated workflow that closes the loop, from vulnerability or misconfiguration detection, prioritization to full remediation and storing the evidence for reporting and audit purposes. All of it without human bottlenecks. This demo showcases now how we have tightly integrated Mondoo's vulnerability insights with GitHub Actions and Ansible to create a self-healing infrastructure loop. The system dynamically responds to new vulnerabilities, determines the appropriate remediation path, auto-generates pull requests with patching logic, applies the changes once the pull request is approved, confirms the patching and changes, and stores the historical context for reporting and compliance. If for some reason this vulnerability is detected again, the workflow automatically patches the system again because it knows this was already patched and approved before. But let's start and let me show you how this all looks like. We have two assets in this space. Both are critical, and just this morning a vulnerability popped up and I can clearly see that this vulnerability is on an exposed system and also quite easily to exploit. So I want to patch this right away, and I can see I have an asset risk score of 89 at the moment. So the first thing I want to do is, of course, I want to check the vulnerability. So I can view all the context about it, the asset insights, as well as the vulnerability insights, which are quite important for me. The next thing I want to do is I want to take an action and create a ticket in order to resolve this issue. So in the background, we have set up GitHub issues in order to handle the patching for us. So everything is already pre-filled. You just create an integration with GitHub issues, and then when you click on the Take Action button, everything is already done for you and you just have to create a ticket. The next thing that happens is a ticket gets created here in the platform where you can view all the information about the CVE as well as the asset that it affects, and also the mitigated assets as soon as this is patched. What happened in GitHub is that an issue got automatically created for this asset and also for this vulnerability in order to fix it. So what happened now in the background is we as Mondoo want to honor the security principles and the 4I principle to say separation of duties. If we are the assessment tool and find everything that's on your asset, if it's misconfigurations or vulnerabilities, we want to provide you everything that you need in order to patch it, but we will not be the tool actually executing the patching in order to keep the separation of duties. So what we did here is a GitHub action was run in the background, which actually extracted all the relevant information about the vulnerability and also the advisory, so the patch that should be applied. It extracted also the current IP of the asset and put it into the inventory YAML file for the Ansible patching process to run, so that we have everything that we need in order to patch this asset. The pull request that automatically got created now contains all the information about the CVE, the asset it's on, and also the advisory that will patch this issue. So now the vulnerability manager can actually see, okay, this has to be patched on the system. I don't see any conflicts, so I will now merge this pull request. What now happens is, as soon as this pull request gets merged and confirmed, another workflow in the background is run, which will actually now apply the patches. So what this does is, As I said before, we're using Ansible for the patching process because this is device and infrastructure agnostic. It's open source and you can simply install it and use it. So we're using this to showcase how a remediation pipeline can look like. So as soon as this workflow now runs, it actually sets up the environment for Ansible in the workflow with the workflow runner. It then connects to the asset. It applies the patches, verifies that it was successful, triggers a cnspec scan to report back the information to the Mondoo platform, and then also records the host level patch results to a separate directory for later use. But let's now wait a second until everything is set up in this runner and we will come back to the patching process. So you can now see that it's actually now connecting to the system via SSH. It's installing the patch via Ansible. And the playbook that got created by the previous workflow, it now triggers a cnspec scan in order to report back the information to the Mondoo platform. And now right after, it will record these patching details for later use, extracts all the relevant information, and then also cleans up the patching files so that nothing is left over. So what now happened is the system is fully patched, and of course the issue got automatically closed because this is already patched now. And if we also go back to our ticket in the Mondoo platform and we reload the page, we can see that the progress is now 100%. This CVE got patched. We don't have any assets remaining, and we have a mitigated asset, the one that we just patched. If we now go back to the asset overview, we can see we still have the first one, which is still a high, and the second one is now a medium. And if I go in here, you can see that the risk score is now down to a 48, and there are no vulnerabilities on this asset anymore. So the system is now fully patched. The tickets got automatically closed in Mondoo as well as in GitHub. And now just think about your current process and how much time and effort it takes and is involved to get all these findings, prioritize them, fix them on the asset, and then report back the outcome. This entire process took now less than 5 minutes to complete. And this alone is already a huge game changer. This concludes the Fix Now part of our workflow. And now let's move on and go one step further where we fix this issue forever. So for the Fix Forever part, we now go back into our asset, and let's now assume that for some reason the old package gets reinstalled by an employee or a non-approved rollback is done. The Mondoo platform then automatically detects a drift, as the platform knows that this specific vulnerability on this specific asset was already approved and patched before. So what happens now? So I just reinstalled the package on the system. Let's reload the page, and we can see that the asset score is back to 89 and we have our vulnerability back. So what happens now in the background? It's quite easy. The Mondoo platform is now automatically creating a ticket again. So here you can see again the contained CVE that will be patched and the asset. On the GitHub side, we also have a new issue. This issue again includes all the information like the CVE as well as which asset has to be patched. But now the interesting part happens because we already fixed it. The initial workflow is run again, but it will actually then detect that there's a drift because this was already patched before and approved before. So this workflow simply reuses the data that was generated before by the pull request that was approved, which is the playbook for Ansible that's actually installing the patch, And then also what it does is extracting the current IP address of the asset because it might have changed in time. So this is the only thing that gets pulled again. And then the apply patches workflow runs independently without the need of an additional pull request. So what we have done now is we have copied back the already created patches, we queried the new IP, we write and commit everything to the new inventory YAML for Ansible, and then this workflow is automatically triggered, and we will now wait for a few seconds for it to finish. So as you can see here now, again, like in the first workflow, it's now patching the system with the respective advisory and the patch from the manufacturer. It triggers a CNSPEC scan at the end to report back the details to the Mondoo platform. And what it now also does is, after successful patching, it adds also metadata and comments back to the pull request on the source issue, so everyone is aware that this was a drift patching and didn't require a separate pull request. So what now happened is the system got fully patched. And if we now go back to our ticket here again in Mondoo and reload the page, we can see the progress is again 100%. We have mitigated assets, our asset that was already fixed. And if we go back to the issue here, we can see that the issue got closed. And if we open the last one that we used, you can see here that there were new labels attached, like auto patched, drift detected, right? And here also drift patching completed for this asset using this advisory. And if we now go back to our asset, we can of course see that the asset risk score is now down to 48 again, and there are no vulnerabilities. So this closes the loop, and the vulnerability stays fixed forever. Remember, this can not only be done for vulnerabilities, but also for misconfigurations in your environment. And you can be sure that what you have approved and fixed once will stay fixed forever. The same question again, how do you do that today, and how long does it take you to get the information that a drift for something you have already fixed even happened? And how do you know how it was fixed back then and what needs to be applied now to get it fixed again? These are usually very difficult, if not impossible, questions to answer, and the risk of not being secure and failing audits is very high. With Fix Now and Fix Forever, we offer you a fast, reliable, sustainable, and audit-ready solution so that you don't have to think about these issues anymore. You have now seen that security automation that only surfaces findings isn't enough anymore. Remediation must be actionable, traceable, and also repeatable. By treating Mondoo as the single source of truth for desired state and leveraging Mondoo's AI capabilities, the issues that you fix will stay fixed forever. You open a ticket, the remediation pipeline does the work, and you stay secure. No headaches, no guesswork, just clean patching workflows, and that at scale. Thank you for taking the time to watch this demo of our Fix Now and Fix Forever workflow.